Russell Wasendorf, the head of Peregrine Financial, and the man at the center of a scandal that is rocking Wall Street. But did insiders see the storm coming? We have indication that they might have. Hello and welcome to Mean Street. I'm Francesco Guerrera, and we're going straight into the story of the past few days, the scandal and collapse of Peregrine Financial, a very large futures brokers in Chicago. With us, Geoffrey Rogow, one of the editors at Dow Jones Newswire, who has been following the story. Your team has been following the entire story and giving us some great news on that. So we're now getting indications that the story is getting weirder and weirder, and maybe there was an inner circle inside the company that knew about this. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're dealing with some allegations at this point, but here's what we know. We know on June 30th, before all this came forward, he was married in Las Vegas.
That's Russell Wasendorf
Russell
Sr.,
Wasendorf
right? The
Sr.
head
was
of the company.
married.
Yeah.
Head of the company was married on June 30th in what looks like a shotgun marriage. I mean, he was supposed to be married 2 months later in a beautiful ceremony in Cedar Falls, and here he is getting married well before all this. A few days later, 3 days later, he assigned power of attorney over to his son, and within and then this Monday, we have the two big news, which is he's found in a car in his company's parking lot having attempted to commit suicide. A few hours later, the CFTC sues the company for allegedly misstating more than $215 million worth of customer accounts, and a day later, they file for bankruptcy.
So let's stay with the marriage, which is a news we just broke. It's like minutes ago. What are the implications of that? I mean, what can we read into this decision, apparently bizarre decision, to get married earlier than expected?
Yeah, I mean, what a marriage does, we've talked to legal experts, and what a marriage does is enables you to transfer property to a spouse who can then sort of be away from any other bankruptcy proceedings or clawbacks that may come in the legal process. So if you knew you were going to be indicted, if you knew you were going to file for bankruptcy and you were going to happen within a 10-day to 2-week period of time, you'd go and get married. It definitely protects a lot of your assets in a way that not being married wouldn't.
Wow, and we don't know that for certain, but that sounds like a premeditated attempt to try and at least earmark some of the assets and keep them away from creditors, right?
Yeah, I mean, on its own, it looks shady. Right. Add that to the power of attorney move 3 days later, where he signs over everything from leadership to the company to hospital administration should he be injured in any sort, over to his son, and it looks like we don't know, but there might be an inner circle of people that beyond Mr. Wasendorf Sr. knew what was going on at this company, which quite frankly looks like massive fraud. Let's
obviously remember that the investigations are ongoing and we don't know for sure. What we do know for sure is there's $200 million plus of customer funds that are not accounted for. There's thousands of customers out there who don't know where their money is, who traded in good faith with this firm, and they cannot find the money. Now, how similar is this to the Madoff case? We don't know much, but in the Madoff case, we had an inner circle that appeared to have known something of the fraud.
I mean, that's the closest similarity. That there was clearly, there might have been an inner circle which included his son, who was CEO of the company for a period of time before being sanctioned a year ago. We have his now wife, who had this wedding in Vegas a few months before their wedding, and we have signs that there were some people within his family, which, like the Madoff case, there were people within his family who knew about what was going on.
And so if we take a step back and look at the weird allegations that we are just now discovering and and what we know about the potential fraud and the money missing, what does that do as we see the timeline? The timeline here is critical, the timeline of events that, as you just described, because it tells us exactly what was going on in the last 2 weeks of this company. But my question is, what does that do to investors' confidence in the futures market, which is, of course, huge?
At this point, we're still only, MF Global wasn't that long ago, and it's pretty clear right now that the National Futures Association, which was the regulator in this, that the CFTC was the regulator with MF Global, the National Futures Association was the regulator with PFG, and both of these can be laid at their feet. I mean, these are especially the NFA is a self-regulatory body.
It's a trade body, right? It's effectively a trade body who's charged with overseeing smaller brokerages. The Commodity Futures and Exchange and Trade Commission is actually looking at the big brokerages, such as MF Global, which, as you know, collapsed a few months back.
Yeah, I mean, this is a body that didn't do its job. I mean, its job is to regulate firms, to improve confidence so that people can understand the market. And it's what from the allegations from the CFTC, from the bankruptcy filing, the NFA did not do its job. There's no way beyond looking at it in that sort of black and white terms.
What can we expect from the authorities in Washington and in Chicago to try and restore confidence in these markets? Will we see an overhaul of regulation in these markets now?
Already, people within the CFTC are calling for that kind of thing. We're having Chilton, a commissioner with the CFTC, is calling for a level of insurance. But quite frankly, insurance should be a secondary issue. I mean, that's what you do when there's a disaster.
It's the structure that you want to look at, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, you can have insurance all day long,
Right.
but if you need to have insurance, then there's a bigger problem that
Yeah.
we're having here. And at this moment, we haven't seen anything that helps address this problem. Where investors, quite frankly, I don't see how you have any confidence in these markets to regulate themselves.
Well, I mean, the one thing I'm sure of is we're going to hear more and more of this, and you're going to be at the center of that, and our readers will be well served by your team. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll hear a lot more about this scandal in days to come.